Hi everybody and welcome to Adamo Gaming. I am here with Taylor.
Hello.
And today, well, with it being Pride Month, we thought we'd talk about Last of Us Part 2. Represents stuff to do with Pride, LGBTQ+. Probably one of the best games that has just done that, would you say?
It's probably like the most widespread among the LGBT community in terms of like big AAA games with these characters, because like you play as a lesbian, there's a bisexual character, a trans character, even characters that just break the mold of what traditional female characters can be, like Abby being this buff sort of no-nonsense soldier.
Which is cool, because from my understanding, to be honest with you, the game that I only thought really sort of did that was Last of Us Part 2, but if there's other games out there, then I definitely want to give them a go. But we're talking about Last of Us Part 2 today. I do think it's pretty cool as well that, you know, AAA game probably came out when? 2020? Game of the Year 2020, yes. Was it? It's got, if it isn't, it should be, because I thought it was an amazing game.
It was Game of the Year 2020, according to like the big video game awards.
Yeah, exactly. That isn't just good for obviously the company Naughty Dog. That isn't just good for the game. That is good, as far as to my understanding. That is amazing for the LGBTQ+ community as well, because it's like I said, it's the first big game that I've seen that doesn't just have, you know, like the standard, like, you know, oh, there's a straight male character, or yeah. You know, the games like Tomb Raider, there's a straight female character. It, like you said about breaking the mold, it completely does that, and it sort of shows that like what obviously Pride Month is trying to do is, like, you know, this is normal society, and 100% it is, and yeah, I completely agree with that. LGBTQ+ part of completely normal society. It's, you know, it's 2021 now. It's something that should just be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sad that like big AAA games with these sorts of themes are like sold or marketed like they're being sold by a dodgy guy at the back of the cinema trying to sell you a fake watch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nice. So The Last of Us 2 is there.
Yeah, no, I completely see what you mean. And the fact that, you know, Last of Us Part 2, it's a game set in, well, post-apocalyptic world, and even through all of what they've gone through, that is still there. That is still part of their regular society, which is obviously what Pride Month is trying to do. And I was actually thinking about this before we recorded this video, when I was replaying some of The Last of Us and going through all of that, and I was like, oh, you know what, it's good that we have Pride Month. It's good that we have games that are trying to sort of like express to people that is okay. But then at the same time, I was like, you know what, it's actually quite sad that should even be a thing, in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like I feel like the game definitely suffered from its marketing in terms of like, oh look, we have a lesbian main character. Oh look, we have a trans character. It's going to turn a lot of people off. It's going to turn a lot of people away. I think Captain Marvel definitely suffered with it as well.
I mean, yeah, but obviously people have opinions on everything, but, you know, that why should that turn people away? At the end of the day, the way I saw it is, you know what, I'm just playing as a character, and it was a sick game, and I loved every second of playing it.
Yeah, I didn't once think that oh hey look, I'm playing as lesbian. I thought I was playing as Ellie, you know?
Yeah, and that's 100% what the game's trying to get across, and I think it did really well. And honestly, I think there should definitely be more games like that, even if it is a Last of Us 3, because that would be awesome.
I would love to see a Last of Us 3.
Oh, especially how it ended. You know, don't worry about spoilers or anything. I feel like people have had enough time to play it now.
If they haven't, I've definitely heard from like,
oh yeah,
the review bombs, the people screaming.
Yeah, you know, at the end where you go to, you know what, I will try and dance around them a little bit, where you go off as Ellie to go and have a fight with a certain someone, and then you come back, and then a certain person is no longer home. I want to know what happened. I want to know where she is. Unless that was explained and I just completely missed it, which is a possibility.
When you're playing as Ellie, like after the events of Seattle, like the main bulk of the game,
yeah,
like, there is sort of a conversation with this person. I feel like I'm going to Tom Holland this if I try and like dance around it.
Oh, then don't bother. If you can do it, if you can't, you know what? You should have played it.
Okay, spoiler alerts for anyone who hasn't played Last of Us 2. I remember there being a conversation between Ellie and Tommy about Tommy finding where Abby is after she's killed Joel, and he's all messed up from being shot back in Seattle. And the entire time, Dina's there telling her, like, not to do it, look at everything you have, look at what Seattle has done to you. But she's never, like, directly said, if you do this, I'm going to leave. I'm going to take JJ and go back to Jackson.
I was really upset, though, when I came back. I was like, you know what? I'm hoping at the end of this game, I can just free roam around that little bit as Ellie, living, like, a cool life on a farm with, like, chickens and whatever they had. That would have been so cool.
Stardew Valley, the Last of Us edition. I would love
Exactly.
that.
I'd have been on like sort of Animal Crossing vibes. I'd have been on there for. I'd still be on there now. It would have been so good.
When I got back to the house, I didn't actually bother like looking around. Because I'd rationalize with myself that if Dina hasn't left Ellie, Ellie's stuff will be out of that room. And like it was all in there, including the guitar, which she can't even play anymore. And I was so upset.
I had a bit of a look around because I wanted to see what was going on. But I think there's definitely room for a sequel there, given that ending. Like, you know, you go find her or something. That could be cool.
I'm hoping it follows Abby and Lev if there is a sequel. Like,
yeah,
maybe have Ellie come in some sort of DLC, but have the main game focused on Abby and the Fireflies.
Yeah, that would be really cool actually. But really quickly, back to how it represents LGBTQ+. I thought Seattle absolutely nailed it, to be fair. Because it was like a lot of it was quite on the nose, obviously, when you get to a certain point and you go into the shops, it's got like the pride flags and things like that up. And then you got it painted on the street, you got it hanging off of, I think they have them hanging off of lampposts and stuff as well. And you know, a lot of it is very on the nose, but you can spend hours there, and if you look around, there is like loads of little subtle sort of hints as well. You go into the bookshop where like you first see one of the flags and then Dina makes a comment about it. If you look into that bookshelf, they've got a book, and it says it's a book of the Big Book of Gay, I think it says. And I was like, I only noticed that the second time I played, and I was like, oh my god, they've gone to town here, and I love it.
That's amazing. I haven't done the completionist playthrough yet, so like the only scene I remember is like starting the game as I think Joel, riding a horse through this like amazingly rendered sunset and being like, this game is beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. The aesthetics of the game is absolutely amazing. Also, as well, a lot of people I found were really surprised about the whole LGBTQ plus sort of references throughout The Last of Us 2, and they were like, oh well, I didn't see, like I've genuinely heard people post online like, well, I didn't expect Ellie to be a lesbian, not that there should be an issue anyway. And I'm thinking, like, if you've played the DLC,
it was revealed. It was revealed 7 years ago.
Yeah, it was in Left Behind, wasn't it?
Ellie and Riley. They were in the shop, like they got up on the glass display cases, I think it was, and they started dancing, and Ellie just, like, out of nowhere kissed Riley, and it was so adorable.
Do you think there could be improvements to how LGBTQ plus is represented in it? Because I feel like there probably can be. I mean, there's room for improvement anywhere, but I think it's definitely a step in the right direction for how I think games should be, or at least AAA games should be. Because there's a lot of indie games that represent that community, but I feel like there needs to be more sort of big games that come out that do that. For what they represented throughout the whole game, I think they represented it really well. What I'm trying to say is it didn't feel like they were trying to force it. Because I feel like when you're trying to force it, it then gets to the point where it's like you know, it gets to the point where they make it almost tacky in a sense, and that's not what it should be. It should just be like, you know what, we're just going to take a standard game that you would play anyway and just drop this in here and make it a massive part of it. And that's what they did, and they did it seamlessly. I
feel like they sort of flirted with making it tacky though at the beginning of the game. I think it was the guy who ran the bar that called Ellie a d*** and then had to give her a sandwich afterwards, and she was like, you can have this bigger sandwich. And I think that was one of the only lines that made me cringe.
You're gonna get that anywhere, though. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's
Yeah.
trying to represent LGBTQ plus or not, you're gonna get cringe in anything.
Oh, like I love cringe. Don't get me wrong, but it was the only thing I felt might have been forced.
I think overall, it didn't seem forced. There was obviously cringy bits. You know, at the end as well, when they're like. At the end, I think they're in the kitchen and Ellie and Dina are dancing in the kitchen with the baby. I was a bit like,
that's not cringy, that's adorable. Yeah. I love
No,
Dina.
I thought it was, but even if it was a straight couple, I'd have been like, oh, come on. What'd you say? You got any last thoughts at all? Or are you good?
If you want me back to do like a full, maybe triple podcast size conversation of Last of Us 2, I'm there. Because I love this game, I love this series, and I can't wait to see a third one.
I'd be up for that, and if you guys are, drop something in the comments if you want Taylor back to do a full standalone, few hours talk of The Last of Us Part 2. Let us know. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Frankie. This has been Taylor, as we've said, and hello again. Well, it's goodbye now, isn't it?